Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this The Clown Decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. If you want to keep up with all things Clown Decade, please do subscribe to the channel and of course become a channel member. Right, so let's get right into this one because it's yet another really irritating one that is showing complete and utter state failure in the once great country of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So let's get right into this. Aston Villa can confirm the club has been informed that no away fans may attend the UEFA Europa League match with Maccabi Tel Aviv on Thursday, November 6, following an instruction from the Safety Advisory Group. The SAG are responsible for issuing safety certificates for every match at Villa Park based on a number of physical and safety factors. Following a meeting this afternoon, the SAG have formally written to the club and UEFA to advise no away fans will be permitted to attend Villa Park for this fixture. West Midlands Police have advised the SAG that they have the public safety concerns outside the Stadium Bowl and the ability to deal with any potential protests on the night. The club are in continuous dialogue with Maccabi Tel Aviv and the local authorities throughout this ongoing process, with the safety of supporters attending the match and the safety of local residents at the forefront of any decision. West Midlands Police have their own statement on this. The West Midlands Police have a strong track record of successfully policing football matches and other high-risk public events. We're committed to delivering fair and impartial policing while balancing the public's right to protest with our duty to ensure public safety. And to ensure all of that, we have banned Israelis from coming over to watch a football game. Following a thorough assessment, we have classified the upcoming Villa versus Maccabi Tel Aviv fixture as high risk. We have actively engaged with a wide range of local partners and community representatives in preparation for this fixture and continue to participate in the Safety Advisory Group. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Aston Villa is located around North Birmingham. That is an area known for its high level of diversity. That is all I'm saying on that so far. While the safety certificate is issued by Birmingham City Council, West Midlands Police supports the decision to prohibit away supporters from attending. This decision is based on current intelligence and previous incidents, including violent clashes and hate crime offences that occurred during the 2024 UEFA Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv in Amsterdam. Based on our professional judgment, we believe this measure will help mitigate risks to public safety. We remain steadfast in our support all affected communities and reaffirm our zero-tolerance stance on hate crime in all its forms. So, football hooliganism is hardly a new thing, and, well, I used to think it was basically only a thing that happened in Britain, and especially with Scousers, but no, it turns out it was very common across Britain and even across the world. So the very interesting thing I find about all of this is that all they can really cite is the Ajax and Tel Aviv match in Amsterdam, and that was relatively infamous. For a quick, and I do mean this, Wikipedia rundown of what happened there. The evening before the match, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were filmed pulling Palestinian flags from houses, making racist anti-Arab chants such as "Death to the Arabs," assaulting people and vandalising local property, with about 5 different sources for that. I have no doubt that that was happening. At the end of the day, this was during an absolutely huge war between Palestine and Israel. Plans to attack Israeli fans were subsequently shared through messaging apps, with one chant calling for a Jew hunt. After the match, Maccabi fans were ambushed and assaulted across the city centre, while a group of Maccabi fans around Damrak were recorded assaulting people and vandalising local property. Effectively, this is tit for tat that it looks like the Tel Aviv fans started, which all stems obviously from the war going on between the Gaza Strip and Israel. And, well, it turns out Tel Aviv fans, like a lot of football fans, are very nationalistic. And as mentioned before, the area where Aston Villa's ground is based is, well, you could say it's quite similar to where Ajax's ground is. So Ajax play at the Johan Cruijff Arena. I'm sorry, I cannot speak Dutch that well. And it's just south of the Oost area of Amsterdam, and it's hard to tell from the maps that I've gathered, but it's either just within or just outside of the border with an area called Zuidoost, where there appears to be absolutely no specific area when it comes to Amsterdam's authority. So the area of Udoost, it's quite hard to say that with a straight face, consists of ethnically mixed working class neighbourhoods that originate from the late 19th century. They have large immigrant populations that can be seen on the streets. The Dapper market reflects the ethnic makeup of the area, with products for sale in Amsterdam for inhabitants of Dutch, Antillian, Moroccan, Surinamese or Turkish origin. Now it is obviously the Turkish and the Moroccan who are more than likely to be the most adamant pro Gaza types in this area. And again, it's not too far away from Ajax's ground. Now, the other side of Ajax's ground, well, Zuidoost harbours a total of 88,000 inhabitants of over 130 nationalities and more than 80 different churches. It is the largest community of people of Surinamese descent of the Netherlands, but has many people from South America, West Africa and the Caribbean. Next to its residential areas, De Bijlmer has a large office district and entertainment and shopping district, including Ajax's football stadium. So this one's less concentrated, with the inhabitants originating from Muslim countries. However, with over 130 different nationalities, yeah, there's going to be some sort of sizable support for Gaza there. So what I'm basically saying is, because to be honest with you, I'm just going to throw this out as well. Tel Aviv have recently played the Humran Spartans of Malta and Dynamo Kiev of Ukraine. Nobody's heard of any issues. They have had a year of playing international games since what's happened in Amsterdam, and I even Google searched for Tel Aviv violence, well, Maccabi Tel Aviv football violence, I should say. Obviously there's been violence in Israel, and the only stories you get are of them being banned from Aston Villa and Amsterdam. I'm not saying that they don't have a reputation similar to Liverpool. However, when entire teams have been banned, and every English team was banned from going to international games from I think it was 1985 to 1990, these were decisions taken by UEFA. It's never been done by the local police force saying, effectively, we can't handle it. And why can't they handle it? Because as we saw, where the Ajax Stadium is, it's in an area and next to a much more concentrated area of Gaza support. And guess what? Villa Park is in a similar place. That is why they are scared of any sort of riot getting out, and it gets out of hand and you have sectarian violence on the streets. I can understand the decision made, but we have to be clear about this. It is a result of state failure. The police should be able to manage this, and they've basically admitted they can't because of sectarian violence between types of people who support Gaza and, well, an Israeli team, who, yes, do tend to have nationalist tendencies. Nobody's trying to lie about that. This is a result of multiculturalism, and it is unequivocally a disastrous one. Anyway, I think it's important to go through exactly how the ban on Tel Aviv fans came about. Here are a couple of Lib Dem councillors from Aston Ward.
We're standing outside the Aston Villa Football Club here within the Aston Ward of Birmingham. Along with me is Councillor Mumtaz Hussain, our local councillor.
Yeah, just to be absolutely clear here, Ayoub Khan, who is the man in this video, is still listed as a Liberal Democrat councillor for the ward of Aston. So here he is in this video saying, oh, I'm just here with one councillor who is working with the Aston ward. No, according to this, Ayoub Khan is still a councillor and is still part of the Lib Dems, even though he resigned from the Lib Dems in 2024 to stand as an independent. And, well, obviously won on a largely pro-Gaza ticket.
Many residents have raised concerns about the football match, which is due to take place on the 6th of November. Maccabi Tel Aviv. We've all seen those harrowing images from Amsterdam. I've started a petition to boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv. There is no space for violence or any thugs to come into Aston or indeed Birmingham. That is why I urge everyone to sign up to this petition.
Yeah, this is actually why Tel Aviv fans are not allowed in Aston Villa. It's basically because the local area petitioned them to be banned. Again, a local community that is 2/3 Asian, Asian British or Asian Welsh. I'm still never sure why they put Asian Welsh in there, with a good fifth of the damn place not identifying as British at all. I mean, this is the thing that we really need to get our heads around here, by the way. A large amount of the people that sign that petition will identify as British in some way. They see themselves as your countrymen. I don't particularly want countrymen here that are in favour of, frankly, a terrorist organisation like Hamas and literally petition people from Tel Aviv simply because they're Israeli. That is why a lot of people were doing this, and they keep letting the mask slip. But we'll get into that.
And this is something that the people of Aston do not want. So I strongly urge Aston Villa to reconsider hosting here in Aston. Thank you.
Literally just a load of local residents don't want anything to do with Israel in their area. Please boycott them. What's our excuse? One incident over in Amsterdam, but that, by the way, ended up with more Israelis in hospital than any other ethnicity. This is the thing, did they start it or not? I have no idea. I don't particularly trust Wikipedia to give me an accurate statement on that, but I'm hardly saying that the Tel Aviv fans were innocent either. They might have effed around and found out, for all I know. My point is that it appears to be one major incident, and they appear to be perfectly fine, and I can't find any other incidents, so if there were incidents, they can't have been that bad, in any other football match in the past year. However, it's arguable that the areas of Aston are very similar and possibly worse for these sorts of conflicts when it comes to having Tel Aviv over. So as I say, I suppose I can understand the decision, but it is a complete and utter failure on the part of the state and the police force. They basically just admitted we don't have a monopoly of violence in Birmingham, Britain's second city. That is quite an embarrassing thing to say, and quite clearly, as we'll get into again, a lot of the front bench are not happy with this. Anyway, this video goes on to show Mr. Khan in Parliament literally complaining that Tel Aviv fans would have the audacity to go to Aston Villa to watch their team play.
You'll probably recall only last year in November, the Israeli football fans, which were chanting, "Death to all Arabs." And more sickening perhaps, there are no schools in Gaza because there are no children. That kind of speech and chanting must equally be condemned.
Yeah, sure, I condemn it. Again, though, I can't help but notice that there was only one incident of this. I've seen people on Twitter say that Tel Aviv fans have been involved in other hooliganism, but honestly, if I end up trying to Google that stuff and the only stories that come up on the first 3 pages are about Aston Villa and Amsterdam, I'm starting to think that maybe it's not bad enough to actually have them blanket banned. Anyway, after the news came out, Mr. Khan made a statement to Twitter. "I welcome the Safety Advisory Group's decision to advise the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans will not be permitted to attend Aston Villa on November 6. From the moment that the match was announced, it was made clear that there were latent safety risks that even our capable security and police authorities would not be able to fully manage. With so much hostility and uncertainty around the match, it was only right to take drastic measures." I mean, what's happened here is, again, you've got community leaders, which just means imams, when it comes to large Muslim areas like Aston and other neighbouring ones that we'll get into, and they're effectively saying, we don't want them here, and, well, bad things will happen if you let this go on. Think of Amsterdam, and then out of the 7 people hospitalised or something like that, 5 of them were Israelis. Yeah, think about that. Sports entertainment events should be enjoyed by all, regardless of their race, ethnicity and background, unless, I guess, they're Israeli. But there are rare instances where the political dynamics surrounding such a spectacle cannot be ignored, and where drastic action must be taken to ensure the safety of fans, players, staff and local residents. This is the most virtue signal I think I've seen in my life. Oh yes, we need to have this liberal outlook, and everyone should be able to enjoy everything all the time. But unfortunately, reality hit a brick wall and we can't let the Israelis here. I'm glad that this reality has been acknowledged in this case, and I am grateful to Aston Villa, Maccabi Tel Aviv, West Midlands Police, and the Safety Advisory Group for their work to listen to our community concerns. Now is the time to ease tension, set aside political differences, and focus on football once more. Yeah, we it's amazing, isn't it? We won our political battle here, so let's just set aside political differences now. But the Israelis are still banned. Just incredible. That is an incredible statement. That is the most cynical statement I think I've ever read in my life. Literally, all of that is just to hide the fact that if Israelis end up going there, there are going to be street fights and the Israelis are probably going to lose because they will be massively outnumbered by the local community. That's just reality. Anyway, he was so delighted with this decision, he decided to make a quick Twitter clip as well.
Well, excellent news for the people of Birmingham and, most importantly, the residents here in Aston. I launched a petition to oppose the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming to Birmingham and then into the Aston Villa Stadium. The surrounding ward of Aston is a ward that sits within my constituency, and I had many residents and businesses express concern of the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming into our area.
I mean, again, he skips out on the fact that he is a councillor, at least according to the official council website. And again, it'd be interesting to know what the concerns exactly are, because they just keep referencing Amsterdam. But when the result of Amsterdam was Israelis taking the brunt of the hit, it's hard to really take it seriously.
Clearly, we have all witnessed the scenes in Amsterdam, the violence that was displayed by the fans the night before the match. We all watched and listened to those vile chants of hatred and racism And so there's no space for that kind of behaviour here in Birmingham. There's certainly no space for that kind of conduct in Aston.
Well, I mean, Birmingham obviously has these protests that are pro-Gaza with people there who are, well, every major city has it. They have people making chants that are basically warlike chants. I've covered it plenty of times before. There are plenty of people who openly support Hamas. And what that really says is it's acceptable when people I like do it. We're all used to that, though, at this point, which is probably the worst thing I've said on this channel for some time. We should probably not be used to this.
So I'm very pleased that both the West Midlands Police and Aston Villa Football Club have now written to UEFA informing them of their decision not to allow any fans from entering Birmingham and Aston.
Wow, no fans are actually allowed to enter Birmingham. I don't think they went that far. The funny thing is that I think a lot of these people have already planned their plane tickets and hotels. I reckon you're still going to get people turning up anyway, and hell, I wouldn't be shocked if they try and protest the ban. So I do wonder how they're going to deal with that, because I can't imagine that's going to be all sunshine and roses. Anyway, Mr. Khan was then invited onto Newsnight to explain his position.
Well, there's two distinct issues. One is the safety aspect, and I've made my position very clear that if the police in West Midlands finds it challenging because they simply do not have the resources to ensure safety, then that's one aspect. The second aspect is one of a, as I say, a moral argument that Maccabi Tel Aviv football club should not even be playing within this international competition.
Yeah, the mask slips every time. Every time there's anything to do with this, it's just how can we make life as difficult for people related to Israel. I mean, this is a team representing Israel as much as possible. This is literally, oh, we found mush, keep pushing. They're now trying to push UEFA to ban any Israeli team from playing in the Europa League, and that's obviously wrong. And this is what I mean by what's really the idea of this. It's not for the safety of the local residents. The local residents will be fine. As I say, if anything does kick off, they outnumber them. Like what happened in Ajax, there will be more Israelis hospitalised than any other nationality if it does kick off. We literally have precedent to say that. They just want to frustrate as much of Israel as they can, and if that means doing it through cultural means like this, so be it. But this is the Britain we have now. We have these people who consider themselves British, and the British state has done nothing to actually integrate them beyond, sure, come and have political power to those people that do learn English to a good level, and this is what ends up happening. They use that political power, because why wouldn't they? But these are people that an awful lot of leftists still consider integrated, despite the fact that an awful lot of people, a growing number of people actually, even in the centre-left, are happy to say that this is all very un-British. Because frankly, British society has generally not been anti-Semitic for centuries. And it's shocking, I know, but it only starts growing once we have these areas that people like Robert Jamrick said are unintegrated, growing all over the country. It's nuts, isn't it?
But the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans don't speak for the government of Israel, do they?
Well, they don't.
So isn't it anti-Semitic to suggest they do?
Absolutely not. And therein lies the conflation.
Tel Aviv fans don't represent the Israeli government or their decisions, yet they should still be banned. I mean, if this isn't collective punishment, I don't know what is. And yes, that is considered racist or anti-Semitic in this case by pretty much everyone, apart from, it appears, Khan and everyone who supports this decision.
We jump to the issue of anti-Semitism. I mean, for example, the West Midlands Police are being labelled as anti-Semitic when you look at the social media. They're doomed if they do and doomed if they don't.
I'd be interested to hear why he thinks they're doomed if they don't. What does he think will happen if the Tel Aviv fans aren't banned? Because effectively he's saying, oh, I think it will be like Amsterdam, which obviously, according to Wikipedia, that was incited by the Israelis, tearing down Palestinian flags and making racist chants. Again, though, when we've been seeing this day in, day out in pretty much all of Britain's major cities when it comes to Gaza, and hell, when a Syrian stabbed a whole bunch of Jews at a synagogue, there were people in Manchester, Birmingham, London, all coming out basically celebrating that. You know, I think we're basically saying here we don't want Israelis here because we don't want them reacting to that in any way. Which again, I can understand the decision from the police's perspective, but it goes completely against this idea that a multicultural society works, doesn't it?
You're saying the Prime Minister's got it wrong when he says we won't tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. You're saying he's conflating two issues.
Absolutely. I mean, you should look at the video footages that came out of Amsterdam. I mean, Amsterdam Council has decided to ban the sports club from participating in the future. I mean,
yeah, that would make sense, but again, it just begs the question, why did Amsterdam have to do that? Why has Aston Villa done that? Why didn't Malta or Ukraine have to do that? Or anywhere else in the world that Tel Aviv has played? Why is it only these two areas, these two highly multicultural areas, as admitted by basically everyone?
We're talking about some very, very vile fans in that club. And of course, look, I for one, will say that there are bound to be a significant number of fans that just want to enjoy football. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to decipher which are the fans that are not going to cause problems vis-a-vis those that will.
This is jumping between reasonable points and then letting the mask slip, basically saying, don't really want Israel involved anywhere in the world ever. Anyway, it was pointed out by people on Twitter that Mr. Khan attends Lozel's mosque, where hate preacher Azra Rashid, in Khan's presence, declared, "We hate Zionists," and later preached, "We will not show mercy to Maccabi Tel Aviv fans." West Midlands Police and Aston Villa have now submitted to this mob. I mean, let's give it a listen.
MP Ayoub Khan, please come to the front. We must congratulate MP Ayoub Khan for his vocalizing the cause of Palestine.
Okay, so there's a very, very clear connection here to the point where, well, the Imam is openly congratulating Mr. Khan for his work specifically on Gaza. I mean, that's exactly why he was voted in. Let's be real here.
Religious sermons, criticizing foreign policies, expressing solidarity with oppressed groups. But what can you not say? Preaching hatred of violence. Now, hatred of violence, sometimes things are interpretable, but avoid advocating hatred for a specific group. You can advocate hatred for Zionists. We hate Zionists. You can even advocate hatred for individuals like Benjamin Netanyahu. But you cannot advocate violence in any way or form.
I don't know how much more blatant you need to be here. You can hate Zionists, which, as I've been going through for 2 years now, literally just means Jews. That's all it means. And on top of that, he's saying you can express hatred for these people, but do not advocate violence. You can say you hate Netanyahu, and actually I have no issue with that whatsoever, but you can't advocate violence against him. Literally having to tell the people in this mosque how they can be involved in political activity, which is something that very rarely happens in churches. If it does happen in churches, it's typically a petition or letter-writing campaign about things like, please don't let this abortion bill go through, please don't let the assisted dying bill go through. Whereas here it's more, here's how you do street activism and effectively bend the rules of the law. I have literally never heard that in any Catholic church I have attended. And even if it does get directly political, it's never usually outside of bidding prayers, basically saying, please open the eyes of politicians and make them more compassionate, etc., etc., etc. Or at the end of a mass, here's a letter writing campaign we're doing, we've made it as easy as possible, please send this to your MP. But, well, there was another clip of this particular preacher.
We safeguard the vulnerable from any type of exploitation. That is the character of a Muslim, or has a Muslim as a rahmah. Remember, rahmah is in its place. It's in its place. When the Tel Aviv fans come to Birmingham in a few weeks, we will not show them rahmah in Birmingham.
So a Muslim has mercy, but we have to show selective mercy, and you show no mercy to Tel Aviv fans. Why Israel? That's pretty much it.
If you meet an IDF soldier and you charge him riba, there is no riba. You can take from him. Take, not give. You meet this IDF guy and you say, you know your team's gonna win. And you say, okay, if they win, you gotta give me $10,000. Your team wins, you take the $10,000 from him. Is it haram? The answer is no. If your team loses, you don't pay him.
I mean, for a start, I'm quite shocked at the Americanization there. Why is he using this very, very British... We're talking about football, the Americans call it soccer, by the way, but this very British pastime in American terms with dollars. But obviously the much worse thing here is basically you can literally treat these Israelis in the worst way possible. Have a gentleman's handshake over a bet, and then you don't give them any money if you lose that bet, but you take it off them. It's ridiculous. It's once again a very un-British thing to do.
That is the ruling. That it applies to people like the IDF. But does it apply to the honest Dutchman who's an honest person, a nice man, who doesn't have any enmity against Islam? And there are so many Europeans like this, that we as Muslims must be upright role models for those, for Muslims and non-Muslims living in Europe, in order that they know the true image of Islam.
It's quite a funny one, isn't it? And gives you a bit of an insight into what the Muslim community is taught, because as you saw, that was on Memory TV. This generally seems to be the teaching of, oh, if the person is anti-Islam, treat them absolutely horrendously, treat them second class and what have you. When it comes to Europeans that are basically complete and utter leftists and part of the, say, Islamo-communist section of society, then effectively treat them the best that you can. This is very much people who understand incentives. You treat the people who effectively kowtow to you very well, they're going to keep doing that. Treat the people that don't do that awfully, and, well, they may be inclined to go a bit more to the Islamo-communist side of politics. It's very good politics, really, but, well, as we can see here, this is very much how these types of people are acting, Mr. Khan especially. So it's no shock that you are seeing, well, you're just seeing the very un-British aspect of them here, which is treat everyone completely differently, entirely dependent on their groupthink. That's not generally how the British operate. Anyway, other independent MPs, such as Iqbal Mohammed, said thank you to all those who put the safety of Aston Villa fans first, Birmingham residents and the British public, above the Zionist and political pressure to let Israeli hooligans and terrorists run riot in our country. Again, from all I can find, it happened in Amsterdam, and, well, as I showed, the areas where there was a bit of conflict in Amsterdam tended to be multicultural in largely the same way as Aston and surrounding areas. Zara Sultana, being the famous moron that she is, posted, in celebration of this, next UEFA must ban all Israeli teams. We cannot have normalisation with genocide and apartheid. Again, mask slip. This is all it was all about. Frustrate Israel as much as possible. They've done it with Eurovision, they've done it with plenty of other international competitions, and this is just another domino that is going to fall. Anyway, next up we have literally every political leader condemning this. Keir Starmer goes first. This is the wrong decision. We will not tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. Our role of the police is to ensure all football fans can enjoy the game without fear of violence or intimidation. Which to me is a bit of a silly way to go about this, because the whole argument from people like Mr. Khan is that locals cannot enjoy the football game without fear of violence or intimidation. Ironically, the way they do that is by, well, intimidating Israel. Kemi Badenoch said this is a national disgrace. How have things come to this? Your party let thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions actually. What am I on about? Thousands and thousands. It's in the millions of people in who want this decision made. That's how that's happened, Miss Badenoch. Starmer pledged that Jews are welcome and safe in Britain. God, we're going to get into that. That he stands shoulder to shoulder with the Jewish community and will use the full force of his government to prove it. Will he back those words with action and guarantee that Jewish fans can walk into any football stadium in this country? And if not, it sends a horrendous and shameful message. There are parts of Britain where Jews simply cannot go. Oh, Jews knew that already. They've been saying that about central London on Saturdays for 2 years now. And they were unfortunately reminded of that a awful Saturday a few weeks ago too. Davey, who very much could be the leader of the opposition after next election, a serious mistake by West Midlands Police. You don't tackle anti-Semitism by banning the victims. This decision must be reversed. And even in the Amsterdam reference, this is pretty much true. As mentioned, 7 people hospitalised, 5 of them Israeli, and I believe there were 80 arrests or something like that, with about 60 being of Dutch residents, and the other 20 being Israelis. In fact, I don't even think it was that large. I think it was close to 10. And yeah, the chants and all that were awful, and there is video footage of that. But realistically, I keep hearing that Tel Aviv have this awful reputation, but I can't find any evidence on it. And even in Amsterdam, they appear to be the smaller problem. So I have literally no idea where this idea comes from, but maybe someone in the comments can enlighten me, and obviously I'll pin it if it gives good evidence. Anyway, naturally to finish off, we have Nigel Farage, the future Prime Minister of Great Britain, saying, This takes racial discrimination to a whole new level, and I would agree with that. I mean, just to be clear, pretty much everyone in the front benches and every major MP who is not an independent is very much against this decision. And as mentioned before, Keir Starmer, who's the literal Prime Minister, is saying this is a shocking decision and acting like there's absolutely nothing he can do, which is basically how he's run the whole country since he started. Oh yeah, these are the decisions we're making, and I have actually no choice whatsoever over any of this, whether they succeed or fail. It's all very odd, but as mentioned, here he is the other day, literally saying he's going to protect Jewish people in Britain.
We have to step up in relation to defeating anti-Semitism. Action is what matters, and we're absolutely committed to that. The discussion we've had this morning was not about words. It was about what are the actions that are going to follow through from this. We're putting in an additional £10 million for the protection of the Jewish community. We want to work with you on that to really step up the work that the government is doing and to make sure that every single member of our Jewish community in this country feels safe, secure, and that this is where their home is. This is the country they are part of, and it's our job to make sure that that is absolutely reflected in a deep sense of security in this country.
That was literally posted yesterday. Literally posted a few hours before it turns out Aston Villa says, and West Midlands Police say, yeah, sorry, no Tel Aviv fans whatsoever here, please. Oh, well, you remember Amsterdam? Yeah, 5 Israelis were hospitalised and most of the arrests were made against Dutch residents. Don't know if that's your best argument here, but okay. Anyway, I want to finish off this video by addressing one other thing that brings back Robert Jenrick's comments on Handsworth. Yesterday again, within the same hour that Aston Villa and West Midlands Police made their statements, you got this little video on Twitter from Zach Polanski, leader of the Greens.
You know, I went to Handsworth in Birmingham the other day. It was absolutely appalling. It's as close as I've come to a slum in this country.
Add lots of Norman French to some Angles, Saxon, Jutes and Vikings, then stir vigorously. Mix some hot Chileans, cool Jamaicans, Dominicans, Trinidadians and Bajans.
You get the idea of that, so you don't need any more. It's complete and utter woke nonsense. And this was Zach Polanski effectively trying to say, oh, Handsworth's great. It has a whole bunch of multiculturalism here. The proof is a poem by a man of West Indian descent, Benjamin Zephaniah, who rejected I think it was an OBE, because he really doesn't like the British Empire. I personally would consider that un-British, but there you go. And whose West Indian community has been displaced within Handsworth by a South Asian community instead. We've had mass migration for so long that communities that were displacing the native stock have themselves been displaced. Anyway, I decided to do a little look into the geography of Birmingham. Villa Park here is on the east side of the map, and as you can see, Handsworth literally neighbours Aston over there, and so this really is not helping with the whole idea that it is a well-integrated place. Again, you only have to ban Tel Aviv from Aston Villa. They've not been banned from anywhere else, apart from Amsterdam, where obviously there was a lot of trouble. Actually, I'm an idiot. I just decided to Google that, because obviously it was just a claim by an MP, and I can't find any evidence for it, so I'm not even sure if that's true. The only place in the world where Tel Aviv have been banned is Birmingham, according to evidence that I can actually source. That's how wild it is. I mean, Britain already has a pretty bad reputation for this sort of thing, but this really is not helping. And let's not forget that the centrist dad podcasters who lived in Birmingham were all saying, oh, Birmingham, it's a fantastic city. It's got fantastic people. It's a success story of multiculturalism. And now it's resulted in the only place in the world that I can find, within Europa anyway, where the Tel Aviv Football Club is banned by a decision exclusively by the local authorities. Sorry, that is a complete and utter state failure. So there you go, Jenrick was right, the centrist dad podcasters were wrong yet again. Zia Yusuf came out with a strong statement against Polanski, saying it's refreshing that this man, unlike Labour and the Tories who believe in the same thing Zach does, is willing to be honest that they see British people as mere ingredients in their sick open borders experiment. Only reform will stop this. I understand the irony that Zia Yusuf is also a result of this experiment, but my god, he is far more useful than most other people I know in politics. Funniest part of all this as well, actually, is that the little video included a Palestine flag. Again, I don't really understand how you can be saying this is all a success story when, yes, Israelis are pretty much banned from going to the area. It's absolutely wild. Vote reform. Right, I think with that we can call it a day, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, do subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, also become a channel member, and you can also leave super chats or super thanks in any stream or video that I do. Speaking of streams, tomorrow it's Laughing at the Guardian with some woman from 8 PM. Next Tuesday, it's Tosh News, and then Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember which, it's the gaming stream. Wolves of Westminster out later today. I mean, I already accidentally made it public and unlisted it, so if you get the bell notifications, you'll have already seen it, and if you haven't, you can wait till 5 o'clock. Alright, with that, that's everything I had for you for today, so once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.